Welcome everybody out there to Winter Walkin Life Coaching. You know guys, this is the most exciting part. This is kind of the pinnacle of the whole program because here you get to have your own life coach. You know, what is a life coach? You know guys, the best way I can describe a life coach is kind of in a little story of this little third grade boy. You know, he was sitting in third grade, you know, much like we are, and remember that's a time in your life when you're, you know, for sure, you're very self-aware of yourself and you want good things to happen and your peers to like you and all those good things. Well, here's this little boy sitting in his desk and he needed so badly to go to the bathroom. But you know what? He didn't have the nerve to ask his teacher because she was in the middle of something. And all of a sudden, there's a little puddle now below his desk. Wow, that's embarrassing. The little boy's thinking to himself, oh my goodness, Heavenly Father, everybody's going to hate me now. They're all going to not like me. I can't believe this. Please, you've got to do something or they're going to see this and it's going to be the end of my life. And the teacher starts walking towards him. He thinks, no, not the teacher. Don't have the teacher come because it'll be the end. And he has no clue what to do. And all of a sudden, there's this little girl named Susie. And she's walking back to the back of the room with a fishbowl. And she steps in front of the teacher on her way back. And she trips and dumps the whole fishbowl right in his lap. Well, now all of a sudden, instead of being the victim, or let me rephrase that, instead of being the little boy who's in trouble and everything's not going to go his way, now all of a sudden everybody goes and says, oh, I'm so sorry, you feel so bad, this poor little boy, you got all this water splashed on you. But he was like silently, thank you. He was so grateful because now nobody knew that he'd sort of made a puddle on the floor. Well, guys, that day after school, he walked up to little Susie and he said, Susie, why did you dump that water on my lap? And she said, you know, I peed my pants once too. Guys, that's what a life coach is all about. It's somebody who's been where you are, that can help you see the bigger picture, can help you out of your situations through correct self-talk, through correct analyzation of your challenges and your struggles, can help you with a different perspective. Guys, you know, they always say, pick somebody who's where you want to be and follow them. Guys, a life coach can help you do that. That's our goal at Winter Walkin Life Coaching. You know, guys, it really is kind of like this other little story, this little boy named Ben Hooper. Now, this is a true life story. Ben Hooper was a little boy in a little town in Tennessee years and years ago in the early to mid-1900s. You know, except little Ben Hooper had a mom, but he didn't know who his dad was. And so they would go from town to town as they would move around, and the mom would look for work. But every time they would go somewhere, everybody would always want to ask little Ben Hooper, Ben, who's your dad? Well, Ben didn't know. In fact, not only did he didn't know, it embarrassed him. He always had such a complex because he wanted to know too. Who is my dad? Well, guys, this one little town they moved to, he found a particular excitement with this little preacher guy that was in town because he would go to his little church and he'd listen to his sermons and he loved listening to this preacher guy because he always said things that made little Ben feel good about himself. Guys, that's our goal here at Winter Walkin Life Coaching, is to help you hear good things about yourself. But little Ben would slip in every Sunday and he'd listen, but he'd slip out really quick before the sermon was over because he didn't want to have to talk to anybody, and he for sure didn't want to have to talk to the preacher. Well, one week he got so engrossed in hearing what this little preacher was saying that he forgot to slip out. And before he knew it, the whole sermon was over. And there were people in front of him, and so he couldn't get out, but he was trying to get out. And as he stepped through the crowd, all of a sudden, there was a hand on his shoulder that said, Ben, I've been wanting to talk to you. And he turned around, and it was the preacher. And he thought, oh my goodness, my worst fears have come true. Now I have to talk to him. And the little preacher said, Ben, I've been wanting to ask you, whose boy are you? The crowd, the whole congregation went completely silent because they'd been wanting to ask little Ben the same thing. And all of a sudden, this wise preacher, young as he was, could sense there was a moment developing here. a moment of uncertainty for this young man, maybe even a life-changing moment. And he said to the young man before Ben could say anything, he goes, "No, wait. I know whose boy you are. The resemblance is remarkable, unmistakable. You are a child of God." And little Ben Hooper, from that day forward, walked with his shoulders back, with an understanding that he was a child of God. He was a child of greatness. You too, my friends, are not just children of God. You're children of greatness. You were put here to do great things. Well, little Ben Hooper went from being somebody who he didn't know who he was to all of a sudden he knew who he was. He knew where he was going, and he went on to become the governor of that state of Tennessee. That's a true story, my friends. Well, who are you supposed to be? Who are you going to be? Guys, it's all up to you. But you get yourself involved with the life coaching program, where on a weekly basis you can converse with a life coach and email back and forth during the rest of the week. But for sure, have a 20 to 30 minute session. May go as long as 40, 45 minutes. It depends on your needs. But a life coach will get involved in your life and help you see that maybe even though you're in a puddle right now, that there's a different picture, that you can end up a star. And maybe right now you don't know who you are. But I'll tell you, we know whose you are. And you absolutely were put here to win. And guys, you can win. Get involved with the Walkin Life Coach program. And you too will win in life. Have a great day.